The Chicago shows are a brand unto themselves. They're a family that hopefully it's perceived like Dickens' London, that if you're in one of the books, you can be in any of the books. And having the characters able to do crossovers with each other on a weekly basis, and then big crossovers a couple of times a year, and crossovers with SVU on occasion. It's a great universe in which to set shows. It's, as I said, it's nice for men to hit their first 100. But we had a cast dinner last night, and I said, certainly, don't make plans for the next 5 years because they'll go by even faster. It's hard to believe that it's been 6 years since we did the spin out. Apetha has been working for me consistently, I think, for the last 31 years. Oliver and I did Deadline 17 years ago, and those two alone are two of the best actors working in America. And to have them on the same show and to have the family relationship that all the shows have with each other, but with the actors who hang out together, I think 4 of the actresses live in the same building. And they're not all on the same show. It comes down to about 300 to 350 plus people working on every show. It truly does take a village. It's nice. It's nice to be the guy who doesn't have to see lots of other people in front of him. Basically, you try to be in a position to say to everybody at the same time, let's move forward. And it's very synergistic here. Everybody wants the other two shows to succeed. Drama is conflict, so you need things to go wrong. And luckily, we're dealing with subjects that every week something can go terribly wrong. And I've had sort of a long-term empathy for first responders because, somebody said, do you think there's enough to talk about in a firefighting show? I said, yeah, because it's all those people. You can't pay people to run into burning buildings. It's a calling as much as being a doctor is. And the paramedics, it's the same way. It's a fascinating world of people who truly aren't doing it for the money. It's like we try to, first and foremost, tell interesting stories that people want to sit there. And I think when you do it consistently, people appreciate it. I've been shooting steadily in New York for, 28 years. And I felt that basically with these shows, which it was planned to be multiple, not just one firefighting show, that I needed a new city visually. And Ram was amazing to us when we were getting started here. The city has been incredibly helpful over the years on all the shows. And it's I hate to say it, it's great for us. It's great for Chicago. I think that even as a point of civic pride, it's great for the city.
Well, it's such an honor to be part of not only a Dick Wolf show, but an NBC. I've been in love with NBC my entire life. I mean, I'm talking about ER. So being on a medical show that still has that quality, and also in this time, because it feels like it's even more important than back in the day, because numbers don't look the same, with online television. So that we're telling a story that's relevant to America. So it's quite the honor to be part of such a project.
And to get that kind of reception.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. My first 2 jobs, NBC hired me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is kind of nice that I'm the new guy of the bunch. I mean, they plowed the way, and I got to step in and enjoy the fruits of their labor. But it's been an absolute joy and an unforeseen treasure that's kind of come into my life.
I think it's, when you think about a show like this, you think about the signature events. And I remember the first initial scene, Michael Waxman was directing, and we needed an opener. So if you ever get a chance to see that, look at the opener. And I always remember the openings of these medical shows. Everyone wants to walk into the hospital and know that hospital is gonna figure it out. Whatever my problem is, they're gonna solve it. And I remember thinking that when those doors open, it's the beginning of our show, and people need to know that Chicago Med, we've got it.
Right.
So I remember that I needed to find the tone for that. And we did several takes and we couldn't find it. And I went up to the director and I asked him, Michael Waxman, I said, Michael, what are we looking for? And he explained to me, I need an opening. That's what he said to me. And I said, give me the opening. I got it. And the door opened and I shouted the classic word, incoming. And I remember
awesome.
It was just, it's just that.
That's great.
It's like, boom, the stamp. This is us and we're here. And that's what it feels like with this 100. It feels like this is us and we're here in American history, because
That's lovely.
Shows that are making 100.
No, I think she's pretty much the same person. She's had some personal issues, with her husband and trying to figure out what's going on with her children. But by and large, I think Goodwin is, the same person.
Yeah, we were just talking about, we're all sort of the same people because the nature of the show is we go through things and you learn more about us, but we need, because it's a procedural, we sort of, it's not about massive
changes.
Yeah, we need to say relatively.
And I think in the 5 years, what has happened for each character has been gradual. It's like he was just saying, each season, the 22 episodes, you learn a little something more about the person by the end of the season. And so I think that's like life, And
it's also totally part of one of the things that Dick believes in about the way you develop character and procedurals is that you give the personal stuff away in just little bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And that way you make people lean in and pay attention and want more.
It's really true. I mean, having done Law and Order all those years, people were always asking for personal things, and we do it here more than I ever did with Law and Order. But what I like about this is that it's still gradual. It's a different atmosphere, but you're still learning. And we have most of our cast are young folk too, so you have to, and our viewers, you have to give them those love stories, but you still, even in those things, you gradually find out how the people are dealing with each instant.
No,
this is the first. Yeah, it's kind of cool. I think I was doing Law and Order when you were doing Deadline.
Oh yeah, that's very possible.
Yeah. So, of course I've known of Oliver for many years, and to be able to work with him, and we do a lot of things together. This is like the combo right here. What we have, I think, that has been really nurtured is our friendship. When we started, the first thing that we knew about the two of us is that we'd known each other for years. And so it's been playing itself out and things that both of us are going through.
Yeah.
That's been good.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I really love about this show is the camaraderie. And we hang out with each other. I'm not saying we do it every day, but we enjoy spending time with one another. So, we've been to each other's homes. He hasn't been to mine yet, but we're fixing that.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Oh, haven't I invited you? Oops.
Oops.
But we go out to dinner. It's just really a decent group of people. So if I talk about anything that I enjoy the most, I do love working with them, but I love the personal time that we have too. It's a really good group of people.
It's pretty remarkable. I mean, this is a new feeling for me. I've never worked on anything for 5 years, or 100 episodes, and it's I don't know. There is a real feeling of achievement. I mean, it's becoming more and more of a rare event. I think that he has an understanding of the form, of the procedural that is pretty rarefied, and he's tuned into it like it's like dog whistles. He hears things other people don't. He sees things other people don't. And I mean, it's no accident, that these shows they tend to continue. We put all our energy into try to make the scripts, bring them to life in as truthful and compelling way as possible. But I don't know. I think that it's just a brilliantly self-contained environment for drama. In the first season, we told a story about a guy who came to the ER trying to convince us that he had just read a traffic light wrong. And then, we figured out that he was actually depressed and trying to kill himself. And it was this sort of cat and mouse game between me and him, trying to get him to admit that he was depressed. Because even if, as a mental health care provider, it doesn't matter if you know it, they have to own it and admit it, because that's the first step towards getting help. And it was a really wonderful episode, and more importantly, it made me realize, when Dick called me up to ask me to do this, he said I'm doing a hospital show, a traditional hospital show. There's a role for a psychiatrist in it, never been one before, and there's a reason for that. But I think that the world is ready, and he was absolutely right. People are ready to talk about mental health and issues, and they weren't before. When mental health is still tremendously stigmatized, when it's they're diseases. It's like diabetes, and I mean they're more complex, but often there's there are solutions, and there's support. There's ways to manage them, and a lot of people don't know that. They think there's something wrong with them, and a lot of people suffer in silence, and it's a really sad thing. But that's one of the ways that rewarding things about the show is when we tell stories like that, and we see the response. It makes you feel like you might actually be doing something worthwhile.
Fantastic.
It's a bit daunting.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's crazy that we're here.
Yeah, it is, I guess. But incredible at the same time. I guess it's a lot of mixed feelings, because it also I can't help but reflect back to when I had no work. And I'm like, wow, every actor wants to just work consistently. And here we are. And it's like, I think right when I got the job, I'm like, oh, an opportunity. I'm going to barrel down and narrow my focus and not screw this up. And then, holy mackerel, I've come up for air, and here we are, 100. And it's like, It's a wild confirmation of going after what it is you love.
I don't know.
He's a master of his craft.
Yeah, he has a knack of knowing what people want to watch on TV, that's for sure.
Yeah, and he has a knack of staying relevant and up to date with everything. It's just... Yeah, that's it. I mean, and he's consistent with what he does. He doesn't change his formula. He only capitalized on it with this one universe. And so I think that's what makes us extremely competitive right now, because we're doing something that's never happened on television before. And, while we didn't know if it would work, well, here we are. It worked, and it looks like it's going to continue to do so. Will hasn't changed. He's still got a God complex and thinks he can save everybody. He should have changed. He just can't separate his personal stuff from his work. It just bleeds in.
and he makes a mess of things sometimes. But it's all he has a good heart. I mean, it's a blessing and a curse that he has this empathy and this drive and this big heart for people. But we're seeing it take a totally different. I mean, Natalie and Will are no longer attempting to date or win each other's affection, and so right now, both of us are going in our own little journeys, and it's actually, I think it's a good time for that in the show.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, Natalie's changed vastly. I mean, she started off, grieving a husband who passed away and 7 months pregnant, and now she's a mom, and she's had her ups and downs with dating, and, I feel like she's really grown as a doctor, and in her choices, she's become stronger, more, straightforward in knowing what she wants and what she doesn't want, and outspoken, and I just feel like she's evolved a lot. I always say I wish this show did a gag reel, because we have had some funny moments. It's hard when you're doing all the medical and you're trying to get the movements down as well as all the words out at the same time. A lot of comedy happens in between takes.
It's a shame. We really could have played it at something like today.
I know, it would be gold.
Because we won't ever capture any more, because we have a foundation for the language, the way we started. And even just putting gloves on.
We couldn't. It took me a long time to figure out how to talk and put gloves on at the same time. It was a challenge.
It's so different. And then stupidest things.
The more nervous you get, your hands start sweating, and then it becomes impossible to get the glove on. And you're like, oh God, everyone's waiting on me. I don't know how to do
baby powder. Then you start loading the gloves with baby powder. And I remember one moment I went to go put a glove on, and all this white powder came down. I go,
remember that.
Okay, I think we put a little too much powder in.
And then I hate the smell of baby powder. It actually makes me nauseous unless it's on a baby. And so he'll load himself up, and then I'm gagging, and I'm like, oh, this is just a bad combination.
Remember when I before we changed the floor on our set, it was
down.
Cement.
Oh yeah, we had very slippery floor. I forgot
We
about
had
that.
very slippery floors, and so even when we were trying to be urgent to a room or something like that, like move with purpose, I ate it one day, and she couldn't
he went down,
laugh.
You go, whoop.
I mean, she laughed as hard. I mean, that's the funniest thing I think she's ever seen in her life.
But then after that, which was even better, his wardrobe came over and said, do you want to spray this, help stick stuff on your shoes so that you won't slip? And then we have to run from the doctor's lounge to a treatment room, and I'm running, and all I hear behind me is squink, 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 squink. And I just start laughing. I was like, I cannot do this right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a lot of good moments.
That was a good memory. And I'm really happy about our relationship that's formed outside of this. I mean, It's the work has really fostered a nice relationship with Tori.
Yeah.
Blessed.
Yes.
I mean,
Grateful. Delighted.
special, especially in this day and age. It's so special and so rare that it happens anymore.
Yeah.
Times are really changing, and I feel like it's just like this kind of gem from the way things were that we're carrying forward through into 2020, and it's really exciting.
Yeah, it's a milestone, and I feel like the number just sounds so very daunting at first glance, but now that we're here, 5 seasons into it, and it's gone by so fast, it just kind of goes to show, time travels fast when you're having fun, and I feel like the whole experience has been that. A lot. Special?
I'm
many.
remembering coming here to get personal. We are the 2 cast members that are parents. Well, not only 2. We have little children, right? Oliver has.
Right. Oliver has older
kids,
children, but yes.
But when we got here, they were babies. And now they're not.
Yeah.
And so one special memory was my son's first haircut in the trailer, in the hair and makeup trailer.
Yes.
By the barber.
I will double down on that. One special memory was Yaya bought scrubs, baby scrubs for both of our children, and they're running around our ED in these baby scrubs, and it was like we put them on gurneys, and then Michael Waxman was rolling them around in the gurneys and stuff. It was awesome.
It's been really wonderful to be working in an environment that, they don't come here all the time, but when they do, it's really embraced, and it's wonderful for them to be able to say that they've grown up here,
Yeah.
that they've seen, the evolution of the show. And his daughter is really our
Baby.
I mean,
Yeah, she was 5 weeks old when we started, and now we're gonna.
So that's how we know how long we've been here.
Yeah.
How old is she? How old is she?
She's 5.
And then,
Yeah, I mean she's 4.5 and
Yeah.
starting kindergarten soon, and that just goes to show. What I love as well is that we create a family environment here, and as you can tell, like we all thoroughly enjoy and love one another, both cast and crew, and the writers and the producers and everyone across the board, top down, and it's great to bring our personal families also involved with this whole family as well. A lot. I think Ethan, when he first started, didn't really know or was finding himself. I feel like, he's, was in the military, still is in the military, and he's, served in Afghanistan, so he had a lot of that PTSD, and he was really trying to work through a lot of his demons, and I feel like through the evolution of 5 seasons, meeting the love of his life with April and kind of coming into his own, I feel like you've really seen from season 1, episode 1 to now 100 episodes later, the evolution of Ethan becoming the man who he is today.
yeah, I think April has evolved a lot from someone who wasn't very clear about who she was either and what she wanted, and kind of just like fell into these things, fell into the short-lived relationship with her old high school friend, Severide, and that was her introduction to the show, right, on Chicago Fire, right before our pilot for Med, and that relationship kind of died out very quickly. She was always putting herself last, going out of her way for Noah, her baby brother, protecting him, covering, making up for other people's shortcomings rather than really examining her own. Then she got with Tate, and that was like really fast, and that was really heartbreaking to have lost that pregnancy. And so now and that was an accident. So now to be with her great love and to be consciously creating a life together is a much more mature April. She's still human. She's still figuring herself out, as we all will hopefully continue to, right, for the rest of our lives. But I think we've seen her mature a lot more. We've seen her take more responsibility in the ED. We've seen her be more vocal. I think in the beginning, if there was a kind of a disagreement with the doctor, she stayed in her place, which a lot of nurses would say, yes, that's where you should be. But she's earned the respect of the community, and Goodwin is also. And so when we are having these really important issues come up in the ED, she's in the room with the doctors and collaborating and figuring this out, because she's earned their respect with her professionalism, her knowledge. Everyone knows that she wanted to go to medical school and could have if she hadn't put her brother through. So I think she's just really stepping into that role, and even though she is a nurse, she's definitely like the go-to knowledgeable one. So it's a privilege to be able to play her. It's a character that could have been a lot smaller, and to see her over the seasons have more screen time, to see more of her personal life, has been a tremendous gift.